They lit up the screen and the world. Marilyn, Audrey, Elizabeth, Julia, Meryl. These aren't just names. They're icons, dreams, memories. With every role, they brought magic to life. Some brought tears, others brought hope, but all made us feel. As the years go by, their faces change, but their spirit never fades. Join us as we journey through time to remember 5 of Hollywood's most radiant stars. There will never be another Marilyn Monroe. Not because there aren't other blondes or bombshells or starlets who light up the screen, but because Marilyn wasn't just a star. She was the screen. She didn't play a role. She became the emotion, the vulnerability, the spark that lived behind every glance and smile. Behind the breathy voice and the iconic sway of her hips was a woman who spent her life looking for something she never truly found. Love that wasn't fleeting, approval that wasn't superficial, and peace that didn't vanish once the cameras stopped rolling. Born Norma Jean, she didn't come from glamour. She came from foster homes, abandonment, and shadows. But she turned all of that pain into light. When she laughed on screen, you felt it. When she hurt, you didn't just see it, you knew it. Her performances weren't perfect. They were human. In Some Like It Hot, she was hilariously alive. In Bus Stop, tragically raw. In The 7-Year Itch, seductively unforgettable. And yet, her greatest performance was being Marilyn Monroe. A persona she built to survive in a world that wanted beauty but not always the truth behind it. She was fragile, yes, but that fragility held strength. A kind of resilience that let her rise from obscurity to become one of the most recognizable faces in the world. Still today, she fought the studio system. She demanded to be seen as more than a pretty face. She craved depth, substance, control over her own narrative. And though she was taken far too soon, her influence didn't fade, it expanded. Every actress who plays with charm and depth walks in her shadow. Every photographer who captures vulnerability owes her a debt. Every audience member who's ever felt not enough sees a piece of themselves in her. Marilyn Monroe didn't just act. She redefined what it meant to be a woman in Hollywood. And behind every sparkle in her eyes was a story we're still trying to fully understand. There are stars and then there are legends. Audrey Hepburn was both. With a gaze that could melt time and a voice like velvet, she wasn't just an actress. She was a presence. From the moment she danced into our hearts in Roman Holiday, 1953, winning an Academy Award in her very first major role, to the iconic silhouette in Breakfast at Tiffany's, 1961, Audrey became more than a screen icon. She became a symbol of grace, resilience, and silent strength. What made her unforgettable wasn't just the way she wore that little black dress or smiled through her eyes. It was her ability to be vulnerable, real, and human. Whether as Princess and Sabrina Fairchild, Holly Golightly, or Sister Luke in The Nun story, Audrey made us feel deeply. She didn't act. She lived the role. She carried her characters with elegance and aching honesty, often revealing her own struggles beneath the glamour. Off-screen, she was even more luminous. Having survived Nazi-occupied Holland as a teenager, Audrey knew suffering firsthand. But instead of being broken, she chose compassion. In her later years, she became a tireless UNICEF ambassador, traveling to war zones and famine-stricken lands. Not as a celebrity, but as a mother, a witness, a healer. Audrey Hepburn reminds us that beauty fades, but kindness endures. That fame is fleeting, but empathy lives forever. She left behind more than films. She left behind a legacy of quiet power, timeless elegance, and a heart that never stopped giving. In a world chasing noise, she was a gentle whisper that still echoes. If there's one actress who embodies the soul of American cinema, it's Meryl Streep. With a career spanning over 5 decades, she has become more than just a performer. She's a cultural touchstone, a symbol of grace, depth, and breathtaking transformation. From The Deer Hunter, 1978, to Kramer vs. Kramer, 1979, where her quiet pain reshaped how the world saw motherhood and divorce, to her searing performance in Sophie's Choice, 1982, which remains one of the greatest acting achievements in film history, Meryl has never played a role halfway. She holds a record-breaking 21 Academy Award nominations and 3 wins, more than any other actor. But beyond the trophies, it's the truth she brings to every role that makes her unforgettable. Whether she's portraying Margaret Thatcher in The Iron Lady, 2011, Julia Child in Julie and Julia, 2009, or the commanding Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada, 2006, she disappears into every character. She doesn't act. She becomes. What's remarkable about Meryl is her range. Drama, comedy, musicals, period pieces. She navigates them all with elegance. Watch her sing and stumble with charm in Mamma Mia, 2008, then hold the screen with sorrow and steel in Doubt, 2008. She's not just a chameleon. She's a mirror reflecting the complex emotions we all carry but struggle to express. And yet, for all her accolades, Meryl remains deeply human. Humble in interviews, fiercely private, and unapologetically dedicated to the craft rather than celebrity. She's used her platform to advocate for gender equality, arts education, and social justice, quietly but powerfully. To watch Meryl Streep on screen is to witness the full power of storytelling. She makes us feel, remember, and understand things about ourselves we didn't even know were there. In a world of fleeting fame, she is lasting greatness, timeless, grounded, and impossibly real. Elizabeth Taylor wasn't just a movie star. She was Hollywood royalty. Her violet eyes became legend. Her screen presence, unmatched. But what truly set her apart was the way she lived. With passion, fire, and unapologetic humanity. Born in London in 1932, she began acting before she was 10, but it was National Velvet, 1944, that turned her into a household name at just 12 years old. From that moment, the world never looked away. She grew up before the camera, but never shrank from its glare. Elizabeth transformed from child actress to one of the most captivating leading ladies in cinema history, delivering unforgettable performances in A Place in the Sun, 1951, Giant, 1956, and The Raw, Turbulent Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, 1966, which won her a second Academy Award for Best Actress. Her first Oscar came just a few years earlier for Butterfield 8, 1960, a role she once dismissed but the Academy did not. Of course, no tribute to Elizabeth is complete without Cleopatra, 1963. It wasn't just a film, it was a spectacle, a cultural moment. It made headlines for its record-breaking budget, and even more for her real-life romance with Richard Burton, which began on set. Their love story, as tempestuous as it was passionate, became Hollywood legend. They married and divorced twice, lived in the spotlight, and reminded the world that love, in all its messiness, is deeply human. But Elizabeth Taylor's greatest role may not have been on screen. In the 1980s, as the world turned a blind eye to the AIDS crisis, she stood up. She co-founded the American Foundation for AIDS Research, AMFAR, and later established the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation. At a time when many feared speaking out, she used her fame, her fortune, and her fierce spirit to fight for those the world had cast aside. For that, she became more than a movie icon, she became a humanitarian force. Through 8 marriages, health battles, and personal reinventions, Elizabeth Taylor remained undeniably herself. Dazzling, defiant, and real, a woman who refused to be defined by anyone else's script. To remember Elizabeth Taylor is not just to look back at an actress with 2 Oscars, unforgettable beauty, and an empire of diamonds. It's to honor a woman who lived every scene of her life with boldness, compassion, and a heart that never stopped loving. When we talk about timeless grace and that rare ability to light up the screen with just a smile, we're talking about Julia Roberts. She wasn't just America's sweetheart. She redefined what that even meant. From the very moment she burst onto the scene in Mystic Pizza, 1988, there was something magnetic about her. But it was Pretty Woman, 1990, that turned her into an icon. That unforgettable laugh, the thigh-high boots, the vulnerability hidden behind street smarts. Vivian Ward wasn't just a character. She became a cultural phenomenon, and Julia owned every second of it. But Julia Roberts didn't stop there. She wasn't content with just being adored. She wanted to be respected, and she earned it. Sleeping with the Enemy showed us her dramatic range. Steel Magnolias brought out her emotional depth. Then came Erin Brockovich, 2000. A performance so raw, so human, it won her the Academy Award. She didn't play Erin. She became her. Fearless, flawed, determined, and real. Roberts gave a face to everyday heroism. Off-screen, she shunned the celebrity circus and kept her life fiercely private. No scandals, no desperate need for attention, just class, grace. A woman who chose family over fame more than once, without ever losing her place at the top. That balance between being a superstar and being relatable is what makes her so enduring. Over the decades, she's done everything from heartwarming rom-coms like Notting Hill and Runaway Bride, to thrillers like The Pelican Brief, to powerful dramas like August, Osage County. And whether she's playing a feisty waitress, a grieving mother, or a cynical lawyer, there's always a core of warmth, intelligence, and humanity that shines through. Julia Roberts is more than a movie star. She's a reminder that authenticity never goes out of style, that a smile, when it's real, can become legendary, and that sometimes the most unforgettable beauty in Hollywood isn't found in perfection, but in honesty. Time may pass, but great performances never age. These 5 women gave us laughter, tears, and unforgettable moments. Which of their roles stayed with you the longest? Let's talk in the comments. And if this trip down memory lane brought a smile to your face, give it a like, and subscribe to Screen Icons for more stories that keep the golden days of Hollywood alive.